Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are tuning in from. Thank you so much for dropping by my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this little chap, happy little carrot friend. The video will be time stamped, so you can cut through all of the nonsense at the beginning if you want to, and you can skip to any part of the pattern that you like. All of the yarn and materials that I have used today, apart from the toy stuffing, are available from Snufflebean Yarn, so I'm going to drop a link to her website in the description box below as well. So to make your happy carrot chum, you are going to need some orange yarn. I've gone with the old classic Signet Chunky, can't fault that for amigurumi. Some green yarn. You may notice a slightly different colour of green yarn here. Unfortunately, my ball of this colour green yarn is currently attached to a blanket that I'm making, so we're just going to use a slightly different shade. Gone for the Shapier's Colour Crafter for this particular pattern. It doesn't have to be this particular brand of yarn, but I would recommend using a smaller weight of yarn for his hair, unless you want him to have a really chunky haircut, in which case go for something in the same size as his body. You're going to need some toy stuffing. You're going to need your safety eyes, a stitch marker, some small thread to embroider on his little mouth, and you're going to need your darning needles, and of course you are going to need a crochet hook. I am using a size 4 crochet hook for this tutorial, with it being amigurumi, drop down 2 sizes from what this yarn actually recommends. You're also going to need some scissors. So without further ado, let's get cracking. So to make your little carrot, you're going to need to start with a magic ring. Just leave yourself a fairly reasonable tail. The reason for this is that at the end, the tail will be poking at the bottom, and we're just going to use that to pull it down, and it just creates this nice little dimple in the top, because carrots are not generally flat on the top. So I just like to create that little dimple in the top there with this tail. So create your magic ring, and into your magic ring, you want 6 single crochets and no pet hair. Sorry. Okay, so 6 single crochets, no pet hair. Here we go. Okay, 6. Now just pull your magic ring shut. Don't put it too tight, otherwise you won't be able to get into this stitch to start your next round. So for round 2, I'm going to do 1 single crochet in the first stitch, and just grab our stitch marker and pop that in there so we know where that first stitch is. And then for every single stitch around, you are going to be doing 2 single crochets. So we've already got 1 in here, so it's just squeeze another little single crochet friend in there for him, and then 2 in the next stitch. So you should have a total of 12 by the time you get to the end. Okay, so last 2 in here. Stitch marker out of the way, and just pull your magic ring tight. Now what I'm just going to do here, before I forget, pull that magic ring tight, and then what you want to do is grab your darning needle, just thread this on here, and then you just want to pop this up through. So you see that central ring there, you just want to come through anywhere in this middle line, pull the thread through, and then just thread it back down the middle. You can do this later on if you want to as well. I'm just sort of doing it now while I actually remember to do it. All this does is it just, when we do pull it tight later on, it just pulls it a bit more central instead of pulling it to the left or to the right, depending on where you've started your magic ring. One single crochet, mark him up so we know where the start is, and in the next stitch we're going to increase, so you're just going to squish 2 single crochets into that stitch, and then in the next one we're going to do 1 little friend by himself, and then we're going to go back to 2. You're going to repeat this all the way round. By the time you get to the end of this round, you should have 18 stitches in total. Okay, and for our final increase round, we're going to be increasing every 2 stitches. Now I have a habit of offsetting my even numbered increase rounds. You are more than welcome to just do 2 single crochets and then you increase, but I have a bit of a habit where I like to offset them so that you don't get that sort of hexagonal look when you do amigurumi and you don't offset them. Now this isn't really big enough to have that effect, but it's, like I said, it's a force of habit for me, so it's something that I will just sort of do naturally anyway. So mark that first stitch, and then I'm just going to single crochet 2 straight into this next stitch here, and then I'm going to go back to the pattern of 1 single crochet, 1 single crochet, and then your increase. Whichever way you do it, you should have 24 stitches at the end of this round. Okay, so just coming to the end of my round. Now, if you've offset your stitches like I have, you'll have 1 little guy left by himself at the end to make your 24th stitch. Now, the next 3 rounds are all single crochets all the way around for your 24 stitches. So single crochet in that first stitch, mark it up so we know which one it is. And then you're just going to go all the way around for 3 rounds and a single crochet in every single stitch. And I will meet you back here when you are done. All right, so we are almost at the end of our 3rd round of single crochet stitches. Now, what you are going to notice is that your carrot is cup shaped. He may be bent this way around depending on how you've been crocheting. What you want to make sure is that this little pulley bit is on the inside. It's pretty easy to see which way around he should be. So we are now going to start our decrease. Because the carrot is conical shaped, we're not going to be doing our standard sort of sharp decreases, otherwise this makes him look a bit jagged. The decreases are going to be slightly different to the way we increase. So to start our first round of decreasing, we are going to put 1 single crochet into our first stitch and mark it. So we are going to be decreasing every 4 stitches for this first round. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to be doing an invisible decrease. If you don't know how to do an invisible decrease, you just go into the front loop. Instead of going under both loops of the stitch, you just want to go under the front loop of this stitch and the next one. You can use your hook to scoop up that stitch and then finish the single crochet as normal. So we're going to do that again. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then the invisible decrease. So again, instead of going under both, you just want to be going under that front leg of that stitch, and then scoop up the front leg of the next stitch, grab your yarn, pull it through, and there's your decrease. So all the way around, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and again under that front leg, scoop up the next one, and there's your decrease, and then we should have 6 stitches left. 1 2 3 4 5 6. Yep, there we go. So 1 2 3 and 4, and then our final decrease. So this should leave you with 20 stitches. Okay, now we're going to repeat our 3 rounds. So mark that first stitch, and then we're going to do 3 rounds of single crochet. All right, nearly at the end of our 3rd round of 20 single crochets. Okay, so just for a second, I'm going to pull that through and just drop my stitch marker in here to stop it from unraveling, and we're just going to put our face on our little carrot. If you leave it any longer, it gets a little bit too fiddly to put the face on. So let's bring in our little safety eyes. One thing I will say is, when I was experimenting making this pattern, I found I gained a high source of amusement from using googly safety eyes and making them different sizes. There's no reason that your carrot has to be an orthodox carrot with the same size eyes. I would highly recommend that you put different size eyes in them. It is very amusing. So just for today, we're going to be boring and just put the same size eyes in him. So we want to go down 1 2 3 4 5 6 rounds, and just after that round 6, just around here anywhere you like, pop your safety eye through the hole. Now you want to leave a gap in between of 3 stitches, so we can pop our safety eye in the 4th stitch. There we go. Gives them a bit of life, doesn't it? Let's pop the backs on these. Yeah, as you can see, it's already quite fiddly. So yeah, if you leave it any longer to pop your safety eyes in, you might find yourself struggling for space. Okay, so there's his little eyes. Let's just make sure that they are on properly, which they do seem to be. Okay, now just grab your darning needle and your little thread. Thread this on here. Now, remember I said to leave 3 in the middle, so we're just going to come out of this first one. Give yourself a little bit of a tail, and then into the last one, and then up in the middle stitch of the row below, and just underneath the mouth, and then go back down through the stitch you've just come up through, and oh, don't pull your orange yarn. And voila, he now has a happy little mouth. What a charming little chap he is. Now to tie these off, get rid of your needle and then just tie these ends together. May have overdone it on the old black yarn here, but better have it and not need it. Okay, so just tie those together nice and tight so his mouth doesn't come undone. And then grab your scissors and just snippy snip, get rid of that yarn. And now we can continue. Oh, he looks a bit cross now. So there we go. So now he has his little face. we can continue on with his body, which you will see is already starting to slope down in a nice manner, rather than the sort of harsh drops that you get if you drop down 6 stitches. So righty ho, let's go back to our little carrot. So pull out your stitch marker. Oh, don't lose your yarn like I just have. Pop your yarn back on your hook. And we're going to be doing another decrease round. So to decrease this time, we are going to drop down in 3s. So it's just going to be 1 single crochet to start. Mark that little fellow there so you know where he is. And then 2 and 3. And then you decrease. So in, scoop, decrease, and then it's 3 single crochet again, and then your decrease, and you're going to go all the way around like this until you reach the end. So at the end of that round, you will now have 16 stitches. Now what you can do, because we have left ourselves a bit of a longer tail, is just post that back in there for a bit. Don't forget that it's there, just to keep it out of the way. Now the next 3 rounds are going to be 16 single crochets all the way around. So 1 stitch marker, get rid of cat hair, and continue. So just going to go around and do my next 3 rounds, and I will catch up with you when you have done the same. So 3 rounds, all single crochet for 16 all the way around. Right, almost to the end of my round. Just after this round, we are going to stuff the carrot a bit, because it does get quite difficult to stuff him when we get down to the next decrease round, unless you have extremely small fingers. So I'm just going to pop my stitch marker in there and just start stuffing my little carrot friend. Oh, before I do that, I'm just going to pull out the thread, because we're going to be stuffing around the thread. And just holding this onto the side so that it doesn't get stuffed back in, just start stuffing your carrot. Now, I wouldn't recommend overstuffing him, but you do want him to be fairly robust. So lots of stuffing into his head, and then just move round so that you're stuffing on the other side of the central thread. And let's just stuff some more down there. You can take a lot more time than I am and make it a lot more neat. And oh dear, giving him a bit of a bubble head there. So just to show you what we'll be doing, as you can see, this now pulls down into the middle and just gives our carrot that little carroty dimple in the top there. So I'm just going to stuff him just a little bit more for now. What you want to do at this point is just basically get his head shape done so that you are happy with it. It's a lot easier to do it while he's at this size, while you still have enough room in here to fit your hand in. For our next round, we are going to be going back to our 4 decrease. Obviously this guy is now hanging out again, so try not to crochet him in. So we are going to be doing 1 single crochet and mark, and then we're going to be decreasing every 2. So 2, and then in through the front leg, scoop up the next stitch and finish off your single crochet, and then go all the way around like this. So 2 single crochet and then your decrease. When you finish this round, you will have 12 stitches. Okay, so that's my last decrease. And we're going to do our final 3 rounds of 12 just to finish off our carrot's body. Now, it does get a bit fiddly here. Bear with it. It's worth it. The carrots are so adorable. Okay. This is your last opportunity to get any more stuffing into this little carrot. So once again, just gonna pull this to one side and just finish stuffing the carrot. Okay, so last little bit of stuffing. Just about get that in there. So as you can see, he is a bit funny now, and he is very, very fat here, but do not worry, we're going to sort that out in just one moment. Right, last round. So I've now pulled my yarn a bit funny. There we go. Right, last round, we're going to decrease all the way around for 6 stitches. So 1, let's just mark that first one so we know where it is. And then decrease in all of our stitches. So scoop up the second stitch under that first leg, scoop up the second leg. This is probably the most fiddly part of the carrot. Just get a little bit squished in here. So just 2 more decreases to go. Try not to crochet your center pull. Right, last one. What I'm just going to do here is slip stitch into that first stitch there. Okay, pull yourself a little tail, grab your scissors, snip that off, get rid of the stitch marker, get rid of your crochet hook for now, and then just pull that through. So for the moment, we only want to be working with this bit. So we're just going to get our carrot shape how we want him. So just push his little middle down and then just pull this. It doesn't need to be too tight. I mean, you don't actually have to do this if you don't want to. I just like to do it because it gives them a more authentic carrot look. So once we've got that down to a point where we are happy, we are now going to sew him up. Let's grab our darning needle and then tuck away our ends and even out his stuffing. So what you want to do here is just obviously thread your yarn on and then just go underneath these outer stitches. You can be a lot neater than me. Stitching is not my forte, I'm afraid, and my stitches tend to end up being rather messy. Okay, so let's just go under these two stitches here and pull that tight. Right, let's even him out. So if you just roll him like so, you will see that his stuffing has moved further down and he is now stuffed fully. So I'm just going to pull our center down, and then what I'm going to do is just tie this off so that he doesn't come undone, and just tie that nice and tight. So he's got his little center dip, and then just give this another little knot in there, and then we can tuck away our ends. To do this, just sew back into the carrot, and then I normally do this at the back just so that you can't see any stitches. Just pull that through and then just go over one of these other stitches and come out somewhere over here. There we go. That will do. Again, you can be a lot neater than I am, and you can do this a lot more times to make it a bit more secure. So if you just pull that tight, snip it, and the end disappears, and then we're just going to do the same with this one. Sew that in there and then come out here somewhere. There we are. And then in. Where's my needle? There he is. Okay, so now you can spend just a little bit of time organising your carrot stuffing so you can give him a good squidge. You can leave him a bit lumpy if you want. It doesn't really matter, it's entirely up to you. But if you roll him enough, his stuffing will move further and further down towards the bottom of him, and it will even itself out. I am not going to do that for mine, but you can obviously take a little bit of time here to squidge your stuffing around. So his body is now done. We need to make his hair. To make the hair for your little carrot, you're going to want to grab your green yarn and put a slip knot on your hook, and you're going to want to chain 12. Now I'm going with 12 for my pattern. If you want to customize your carrot's hair in any way, shape or form, please feel free to do so. You could chain more, you could chain less, you can add extra bits, you can change colour. The world is actually your oyster. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry, I was jabbering away there and actually not actually counting my stitches. Okay, so that's our 12, and then chain one more on the end, and we're just going to be working into this second chain from the hook. So that's 1, and then this is 2, and you're just going to pop 2 single crochet into the second chain from your hook. That's 2, and then for every other chain of your chain you're going to put another 2 single crochet in each stitch. So as you can see, this is now starting to curl very nicely. We're going to give our carrot a lovely perm, because, you know, in his head it could be 1982. All right, just get these last 2 stitches done. 1 and 2. All right, so pull a little bit through, doesn't have to be a massive amount. Grab your scissors, snippy snip, get rid of that, pull that through, and just give that a little tug. Right, we now have a lovely little bit of hair for our carrot. So for the carrot that I have here, I've made 6 little hair pieces. You can make as many or as little as you like, but to put them on, very simple. You just thread this onto your needle and get rid of those now. And then just, I normally do mine, so when I did the 6, I did 4, so 1 there, 1 there, 1 there, and 1 there in this round, and then I did 2 in this round as well. So I just went under 1 stitch and came up the other side of it, pull that through, and then just tie this together. That is literally it. Does not take a lot, although I am making an absolute hash of it. There we go. So tie that together and then tie it together again, and then just pop your needle back into the body of your carrot and then pull it out somewhere down the back. Do the same with the other piece and just that in there, and then work your way through the carrot, fight your way through with your needle, and then just snip the edges off, remove animal hair, and then you'll give it a little squidge, and now he has hair. You can repeat this again as many times as you want. This little example, he has 6. So as you can see, I've done 4 around this outer edge, around this sort of second layer, and then I've done 2 in the middle just to give it a little bit of a bouffant effect. So there you have it. That is how to make your little carrot. Please feel free to tag me in any carrots that you make yourselves. I will drop a link to all my socials in the description box below. Thank you very much for tuning into this tutorial. I hope it was not too boring, considering it was my first one. Thanks again, and I hope to see you soon. Bye. And just give him that little sort of pet hair. We'll give him some pet hair. Excellent. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this little chap. Here's a carrot. So you may, oh bollocks, I don't know what I'm talking about. Oops. Let's start that again, shall we? Oh, I'm too good at this. Absolutely, just too good at this. I mean, you can't see it, but there is a mess there. This is just a mess. Complete mess. Catastrophe. Story of my life.